Welcome to this first of two videos that I hope will help students in working through the Chapter 4 Java Jam Coffeehouse case study. Right off the bat, if you've been checking your announcements and messages from me to you, students, you have been made aware that there is a package already on the screen that will help you get a good foothold on Chapter 4, and I'm assuming that you have honestly and from an integrity standpoint, you have done the Chapter 3 case study on your own. So what I provided for you to help you meet your needs a little more, under the Help Videos Review link, not Blackboard Help, but my Help video, if you click on that, there is a zipped folder that will help you get started. I call this the raw folder for the Chapter 4 Java Jam case study. Basically, it's the Chapter 3 Java Jam solution from the author of the book, which I can legally use. And if you went ahead and wanted to download that to your computer, I do the right-click Save Target As, and you're going to see my messy desktop very soon. But I've got a raw folder right there that I'll be using. And you don't want to open that up directly because it's sort of like a zip folder is sort of like the red apple, if you know the Snow White fairy tale, maybe you've read it to your kids, and you want to be careful not to just directly open or double click a zip folder because it will look beautiful and correct, but it's very deceptive and it won't behave properly, it won't save properly. So you want to unzip it, extract the file by the folder and the files by whatever method you do on your personal computer, and you'll actually have a folder which I will use in this particular exercise. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it and let you see it. It may do a double folder, which is fine. And the original Chapter 3 Java Jam Coffeehouse case study looks like this one. We'll have the home page with the bulleted list of the items that the coffeehouse sells or has, the coffee, tea, bagels, music, and all that. You can click the menu link and get a menu that has information about the prices of the coffees. The music page, which we will create later on, will not be showing up in Chapter 3 right now, but we'll have this created by the time we get through Chapter 4. Even though the book goes through this in a particular manner, I'm going to start with the CSS style sheet first because I think that's where a lot of the problems may lie initially. The book does something, while Terry Felty Morris is a great writer, I'm a little leery about the way she does the pages first and then comes back and says, oh, by the way, here's the CSS page that drives the design. And we did this back in Chapter 3, just again to let you see what's going on here. In that folder that I've given you, there's a Java Jam CSS folder that's available to you. And what I'm going to do with it, you should not do this. Don't practice this at home. But I'm doing this, opening it up in Word, not in WordPad finally. I'm going to go ahead and put it in Word because it'll make it a little bit easier where this video explanation is concerned. You do not want to use Word as your driving force behind designing a web page with HTML because it can cause major problems. I'm doing this again because I can make the text size larger and of a better font style for video purposes only, and I want to make sure that you can see this stuff. Again, just for re-emphasis, I'm going to take step or task number 5 on page 183 in your book, and we're going to design the CSS information first. I think that will make your life much easier down the road. Trust me on this if you're following the video, and this should help out considerably. The first thing it says in step 1, and again, my emphasis right here, just so you know this, I just want to make sure in case you are a very, very visual learner, I want to be sure that you're seeing this. I'm on page 183, and I'm going with task 5 so that you have an idea of what I'm doing right here. Certainly don't include this in your code for those who are very literal, exact words type students, but make sure you're knowing where I am in the book. And pause the video as necessary, rewind as you need to. It says to modify the body element selector style rules, and this is the body element right here that we've defined in the CSS sheets. Just as a reminder, if this is confusing to you because you haven't done case study 3, this may be something you need to work on individually. Again, pardon my throat, I'm dealing with allergies at this recording. It says to configure background.gif as the background image. So very simply what you do here, and I don't mind helping you with this, you go into the body tag, and inside the braces, what you want to do is just type in background image, Thank you for your patience as I try to type and talk at the same time. Background dash image. Spelling is important and punctuation is important. Your colon, and you want that to be the background. So I'm going to put the URL right here. It's in your book. If you want a reference for this, I can cite a page number if you like. Background.gif. And that's the one sentence that I'm going to select and put in yellow. This is the one sentence that you want to add in step 1 of task 5. You want to add this sentence right here to your body element. Step 2, you're going to modify the style rules for the wrapper ID. Now, the order of these definitions doesn't matter where you're concerned, but basically you're going to take the wrapper ID, and I'm going to add some more text right here so you can see this at the top of the screen. If I go to wrapper ID, basically I'm going to add 4 components right here. They're pretty straightforward. It says exactly what to do, and as I told you a minute ago, I'm not going to type everything for you, but it just tells you what to do. If you go to page, well, let's start right here first. First of all, if you go to background color, it says configure the background color to be $FFFFCC. That's the hexadecimal code for the background. So I'm going to put background color, colon, and then the information. You can do lowercase letters. I tend to do capital letters personally. You can do it any way you like. End each of these configurations with a semicolon. And it says to do configure a minimum width of 700 pixels. Use the CSS code called min-width. And I'm doing that right now, and that's going to be 700p extra pixels. It's the width of the screen. And this wrapper is basically going to design the layout of the entire page. We'll look at positioning this in a moment. Now it says in the next sentence to use the box shadow property to configure a drop shadow effect. If you will turn in your book to page 166, don't type this in literally, but if you go to page 166 in your book, it will tell you precisely what to type in. So go to page 166, as I'm doing right now. You can't see it, of course, while I'm recording this video, but about 2/3 of the way down, it will give you an example that configures a dark gray drop shadow with 5px horizontal offset, blah, 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 blah. It'll be there. But it starts out looking like this, just so you know. It's going to look like this. It's going to start out with the minus symbol. I think that's a minus. WebKit. If you see this on the screen, it starts out with the word WebKit box shadow. Hopefully you're seeing this in your book. If not, pause the video and take a look at it. There are 3 lines. One says box WebKit shadow. One says MOZ or M-O-Z. And I'm not typing the whole thing here, but just getting you started. And one says box shadow. But just type these all in there, and that will take care of your wrapper class for you. It may be a bit confusing at first, especially if you're not a reader of textbooks. It may be confusing at first. All right. In step number 3, you're going to modify the H1, heading 1 definition. Right now, the heading 1 definition from chapter 3 has the background color, the text color, and text alignment. What you're going to do there, it says to remove the line height style rule. So basically, you're going to just take this guy right here. It says remove it. So you're basically just going to take this and delete it from that specification. So just take that out, and you've taken care of step 3 in the book. We're going to add a new style rule for the H2 selector. So it's going to look very much like H1. We're going to have some heading 2s in another page we'll do later on. So we're going to take H2. Now, Microsoft Word fights me with capital letters, so bear with me as I battle this on the video. So I'm going to take H2, make a new definition, which I'm going to surround with braces. And hopefully this is making sense to you. And it tells you exactly what the type is. It says it configures a background color, a font size, left padding, and bottom padding. Basically, you type this exactly as you see it in the book. And don't type those words, of course, but that will at least tell you exactly what to type in. And this is located again in step 4 under task 5, and that will tell you exactly what to type with this heading. Again, don't type those exact words that you're seeing on the screen, but just use your book as a guide to go along, and that will take care of your heading 2 definition. Step 5, you're going to modify the footer ID. An ID is only used once in a program on an HTML web page. IDs always start with the pound symbol, so there's your footer ID right there. you're going to take it, it should already be in place from before. If you don't have it, again, just use the case study 3 that I've given you in the help area, and you're just going to add a section that gives you 10 pixels of padding, and you do that by just tacking it on to this footer ID by just typing in padding, and I'm making sure I got this correct, colon 10px for 10 pixels, and you're in business right there. I typically don't put a space between the number and the px symbol. That's just a standard convention in web design. Alright, number 6, we're going to add a new style rule for an ID called content. Now again, it doesn't matter where you put this in the program. I'm doing this up high on the screen in case the video from Camtasia that I'm recording doesn't make this work properly. I want you to be able to see it. It says an ID named content. There's content right there. Not contest, content. If it's an ID, I want to put a pound symbol in front of it. Just like I did with H2, I'm going to have my little braces, opening and closing braces, and it tells you what to do right there. For content, you want 25 pixels of padding. So I'll do the very same thing I did earlier, just a minute ago, and I'm going to choose my padding right there, and I'll let you complete what's supposed to be there. Again, this is not an exact replica on what you should do, so don't follow me to exact words literally. You get the idea. Number 7, step 7, add a new style rule for the class named details. It did not call it ID, so I'm not going to put a pound symbol right there. I'm going to put a period. That period is very important. That identifies a special defined class called details. And we'll have the opening and closing braces. And details says to add 20% left and right padding. And I'm going to make sure, and what you do right here to get that is you type in padding hyphen left. Again, Word is going to fight me. This is one reason you don't want to use Word when you are creating a website with HTML. You want to use something simple like WordPad or Notepad or something fancy if you have it. So padding left is going to be 20%. You'll do the very same thing for padding right, except you're going to put the word right instead of the word left. And in the details, that's all you have to do right there. This will add empty space on either side of your new page for music later on. You'll add some space in there. Finally, we're going to add a new style for the image element. So that the lines, I think it's supposed to make it not put a border around the picture. Now, image is not a class, it's not an ID, it's just a regular HTML word, so I'm just going to type IMG just like I did H2 earlier. And you can put these either up and down vertically like this with the opening and closing braces, or if you want to, if you don't like it that way, if you just want to shorten some code, you can actually put these side by side. In fact, I'm going to do that just to prove the point here. There's nothing wrong with writing it this way. And this will get your CSS started. Alright, the image right here is going to be not to display a border, and that is done by just putting border style colon the word none. And you always want to put a semicolon after each of your definitions that are inside the braces. And just go ahead and go and just save your CSS code. It's still going to be under the name javajam.css, and you'll save this. So I'm going to remind you right here when you refer to this again, if you're going back through the video and practicing it or putting it together. This is task number 5 on page 183. You want to save this. Thank you for bearing with me. Save this as javajam. Let me make sure I'm right here. This was called, I want to make sure I'm correct before I do this incorrectly on the video and get a bunch of dislike or hate mail. It's called javajam.css. So be sure you save it that way. Hopefully this helps you get started at least on the CSS part of this particular case study. If you have any questions about this, please contact me.